Hi. So today I wanted to paint like a sunset. So I've got a piece of paper and a brush. And apparently the water is not perfectly clean, but that's all right, whatever. And it's watercolor. The idea is to use a bunch of washes. So that a wash is just a lot of water with not so much color. And it's fun to take your wash and go from one color to the next. So like blue to pink to yellow. Back to pink. Back to blue. So this was done on wet paper, but not super wet, and it's summertime, so everything is drying. The end result of this is a banded wash. So you've got, the blue to the pink to the yellow to the pink to the blue. Note where the yellow and the pink overlap, you got orange. Where the blue and the pink overlap, you got purple. This wash right now is set. It's, if I did anything to it now, it would make a big glob. The water would make a big mark called like a backwash, because this paint is set on the paper, but it's not dry. With cotton paper, your paper is still wet if it feels cool to the touch, but you'll get to a point where it's damp, but you can paint over it. That is the first step. See if you can do that. Work really fast, okay? It is a little bit drier. I'm now going to work with a smaller brush. This is a 1/2 inch flat. What I'd like this to be is a sunset with land and water, all right? The land's kind of in the background, so I want it to be sort of gray. So if I take some of that blue I had and I add some red, and then if I could just go add some of that yellow, eventually it'll balance out to make kind of a grayish color. If I want it to be more blue or darker, I can add more blue. When you look at land in the distance, say it sits here and then maybe some sits here. The one that sits right here is going to be closer because that line is closer to the bottom. I also want to think about, I don't want this exactly centered. In other words, if I'm going to have 2 or more formations, I don't want them centered. So I'm going to try to have this kind of go a little bit further back. This paper is still a little bit wet. You can see that fuzzy edge, which is pretty cool. And land isn't like perfectly straight. It juts out, it moves, it just does stuff. And then I want another bit, kind of maybe coming back here. And then way in the background, I'm just going to go with straight blue. I want another bit, maybe sort of ending there. I don't know, might not work, but hey, you never know. This will also reflect. In general, reflections are darker. That's in general, so it isn't always happening. If the body of water like has a lot of wind on it or whatever, it won't reflect as much. And sometimes it won't reflect at all. And sometimes it reflects a whole bunch. You can't ever really know. It's always a mystery. But it's something that's fun to observe because then you can see all the different nuances of the things that happen. Then I'm gonna try something that I don't know if it'll work, but I kind of like. So a lot of times if you see like a sunset, the sun will color everything around it. So including whatever mountains it's around, whatever hills, whatever trees, all of that stuff. I'm gonna see, I'm gonna take a tissue, I'm gonna dip it in water. So it's just a little bit wet on the end. And I'm gonna kind of pull out a little bit of weight. And then just with a watery brush, I'm gonna smooth some of this out. And then just smooth some of this. And take some nice purple. Just do a few darker lines. The idea is to ground these little bits of land. Because otherwise they tend to, I don't know, it's like they want to get up and go places. It's like, but wait a minute, I don't want you to go places. Then I've got a piece of saran wrap. And these are just all the dark colors in my palette. I'm not real concerned what they are. Could be green, could be blue, could be red. Then I'm going to take this brush and I'm just going to sort of connect some of these forms. And add to some of them. You know, I'm not adding a whole ton of color. This is just sort of a damp brush. I'm gonna take that same brush and make some twigs. Because of the sharper edge of this, you know, I can just do this. I got some really nice lines from doing that. And I'm going to take some of the yellow. I am going to cover most of this and do a little bit of spatter. And maybe possibly some lighter spatter. Doesn't seem to want to spatter. And also some of this deeper, darker color. Usually things come in threes, right? So maybe we'll just put one over here. I want to smooth this out just a little bit. And maybe just a tiny bit of this blue. And red mixed to get some nice purple. Just to add a little bit of, like, you know, color variation. And also, you know, yellow and purple are complements. So if I put yellow and purple together, they will always be happy campers. And then I ended up with kind of a red dot there. So I'll just sort of smoosh that out a bit. And there you go. A really, really fun sunset. Have a good time. Enjoy.